Okay, so in this video we're going to create a UV map or a flat map of Steve's model so that we can apply a texture to it and make Steve look not like this gray block mess. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select Steve in object mode, this block that we've corrected, and when he's in object mode he's selected green just like this. We're going to go create UVs, automatic mapping, no option box here, just go ahead and click automatic mapping, and this does the work for us on this particular model. Now what we need to do is change this top left panel from the top view to a UV texture editor panel. So we go panel, UV texture editor. Now this is a different window. It uses U and V coordinates rather than X and Y. That's why it's called UV. And it is a two-dimensional layout of your model. Now see, these faces are being depicted over here as shells, as UV shells. But they're somewhat random in the order that they're placed. Not too much, but a little bit. And so what we're going to end up with is an image like, let me show you the image that we're going to be using for this, and see if you can get an idea of what we're going to have to do in Paint. We're just going to use Microsoft Paint. So this is what we get from Google. This is what Maya gives us as an automatic mapping for this model. So what we're going to actually have to do is move things around to make sense to us, so that we could bring it into Paint and cut this up, just square cut this up and place it over the top, bring that map back in and apply it to our model. That's how this is going to work. It's a pretty easy, practical approach to what we're trying to do here, which isn't too important, but we still learn some skills while doing it. Okay, so let's take a look at this shell here. So I'm going to show you a version that's already sorted, but this is going to be unique to almost everyone. How you're going to make sense when you get this map over here, this map in Paint, and you're just going to have this little set of lines right here without the grid behind it, and you need to start cutting up and placing the different faces of Steve onto them. You need to have a good idea of which face is which isn't necessarily impossible to do. It's not impossible to do at all, and it's not that hard exactly if you just come up with your own sorting or your own organization method. Now if we object mode this guy right here, and you select all they're all selected right now. Let's go UV, select them all. So you see this move UV shell, select them all, and then right here is separate the UVs along selected edges. Now they're all separate UV shells. Okay, none of them are weirdly connected to each other, which they are sometimes to start with. You get a good idea that I can start moving these things around. Look at me, I can move them around. I can make my own sense, and then I need to bring them back on here. I can scale them if I want to, but I'm not going to in this exercise, and I really don't want you to scale them at all using the R, the W, the E. They all work in here, but W is the only one we're going to use for now. We might rotate one or two to make them match. Make sure you select the whole damn thing, which is kind of a pain in the ass, isn't it? Just go ahead and... Oh boy, that whole guy got separated. What a pain in the ass. There we go. Wow. So some of these weren't already separated. Let's go ahead and Control Z back before we cut them along their edges. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Right about there, I think we were. And let's just cut UVs along. So see, it requires at least one argument. So let's look at the ones that are already connected to each other weirdly. How about that? Like this one right here, cut along edges. Cool. So that's actually what you want to do. You want to actually just left click the ones. I actually found a cool little error in this workflow just now. So you see how those two are combined for no reason at all? Let's just separate them. So let's go around clicking on all these faces, seeing which ones are connected to other ones in weird manners, because we used an algorithm to map it. And we find that that's all we had to do. So I left click, you go around left clicking them, seeing if they're connected to other squares. I think that's just dead space right there. It is, yeah. And when you find one that's connected to another square, you click this and you separate it. Okay, so you don't want to just select them all and separate them. That did some weird crap just now. So don't do that. Alright, so this is an automatic map right here. Okay, so you want to take some time sorting these in somewhat of a way, and let me show you how I did mine. And it took a little bit of time, so it's not something you should really rush. This is a cool little thing to learn right now. So select him, and so I made a little sense to this. So I put all the faces up, all the ones that depict his face. Let's see here, up here. Let me go UV shell move. Okay, so these are all of his head and face right here. So I can actually order these. I didn't order them yet. So we go front, and then I'm going to go clockwise around the head. So that was that face, that was that face. I'm looking for this face now. I'm looking for that face. See right there. And as long as I keep the same convention here, the same organization pattern, then when I bring this into Paint, I'm not going to be uber confused. Maybe only a little bit. I'm still going to have both programs open to make this a little easier on myself, but there we go. And notice how sometimes it's a pain in the butt to fit them in here, but it's what we do. There we go. And then the top of the head. That makes sense, okay? And then, so I got, as far as legs, I got that face, that face, that face, that face, and then the sides. That side, that side, okay? And then for the arms, I do let's see here, counterclockwise. So boom, 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 and then top, top, bottom, bottom, and then the next one is the same. The next arm's the same, and then I have the chest pieces here. That chest piece and that chest piece, which I had to rotate to make fit, and these two extra lines, which I couldn't figure out what they were. I think they were these on the side right there, and I just don't need them, so I put them over there. So this is a sorted version of the UVs, as opposed to what we just saw, which was just the regular automatic mapping, which was this right here. So and notice how at first some of these were connected to other ones, and we had to cut them apart to make them separate. And that's the work we're doing to prepare this for the next step, which is bringing it into Paint.net and actually cutting up the texture, applying it, and then bringing it back in. So let me open up the last scene. I'll show you how to export this map as an image file. Let me see here. Don't save. Okay. Right-click object mode. Click it. Polygons UV snapshot. So after you've sorted it in a way that you care about, UV snapshot. You want to make the size a little bit bigger than this. I just make mine 1280 by 1280 because I don't know, I think that's fine. It's going to go to your project directory, so Steve UV, I rename it right there, into the images file, and we're going to want to change the image format to like BMP or PNG or something like that, okay? BMP is fine for this. Okay, there we go, and that is exported. Now let's open that up in Microsoft Paint. We don't need to use anything fancy here. In fact, we're purposefully not going to use anything fancy here. To show that that's not the purpose of the exercise. So it went to my project directory, right, which was probably on my desktop in this one. Let's see, where did I put my dang project directory for this? You dang dang done it. 3D class summer. Oh, it's in my documents, as it should be. As it should be. Documents, 3D class summer. It went into images, Steve UV. There we go. Check that out, fam. That's looking good. Okay. So I don't think I rotated that one perfectly. So this is what we had here. Move that window, and this is what we have now in Paint. And then, and alternatively, or in addition, we need to open up the UV in Paint as well. So in order to open up another window in Paint, you can right-click right here, click Paint, and it should open up a new window. And then go ahead and open the provided Steve UV. Now we have. Boom, we have both of them here. We might want to size this maybe to be closer to the size of that, like, so maybe make this smaller so we don't have to expand those. So instead of 1280 by 1280, maybe we made this 600 by 600 or something a little more relative, but it doesn't really matter. They're still proportionate, and I can scale them to match. These lines look all funny. I'm really not too worried about it. This exercise is just about learning the basics. So as far as aesthetics here, let's just say screw it, good enough for government work. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how I would go about cutting this up and putting it on, and then loading it back into Maya, and rendering a little version of Steve, and maybe having a version to 3D print this out, cut it up, and put it on in a physical manner for a keychain or something like that. Okay, so let's move on to the next step then.